they asked him a very specific and pointed question about Kamala Harris as it relates to race and her participation in the presidential race. Here's what she said. Here's what he said.
President Kamala Harris is only on the ticket because she is a black woman.
Well, I can say, no, I think it's maybe a little bit different. So I've known her a long time indirectly, not directly very much. And she was always of Indian heritage, and she was only promoting Indian heritage. I didn't know she was black until a number of years ago when she happened to turn black, and now she wants to be known as black. So I don't know, is she Indian or is she black?
She has always identified as a black woman. She went to a historically black college.
I respect either one, but she obviously doesn't, because she was Indian all the way, and then all of a sudden she made a turn and she became a black person.
Just to be clear, sir, do you believe that
I think somebody should look into that.
I think someone should look into that. Okay, so Donald Trump, again, was like a bull in a china shop right here, right now, in this clip. Not just the beginning, but this is like the middle of the interview now. Donald Trump is still just knocking everybody all over. She asked if he's Donald Trump was asked if Kamala Harris was a DEI hire, and Donald Trump basically said, I don't know if she is or if she isn't, right? Now, he has an opportunity there to say, no, she's not a DEI hire. He could disagree with DEI. He could carry on the Christopher Rufo campaign on DEI. He could lie about DEI. He could misrepresent affirmative action. You know, he could do all the things that the right has done, but still not disrespect his opponent. But he couldn't even say to Kamala Harris that she is a worthy opponent, that she deserves to be there. Joe Biden, who said he finished at the top of his law class and actually was a mediocre law student, you could have asked about him. You could have questioned his bona fides, but you didn't. Right? You could have gone at a whole bunch of random Republicans. Look at Marjorie Taylor Greene. I mean, really, look at Boebert, right? I mean, these are people who are remarkably mediocre. The only thing noteworthy about them is how unnoteworthy they are, right? They're not interesting. They're not smart. They're just not. There's not much to it. But he doesn't. So because he doesn't want to piss off his racist base. I don't know if he thinks he's like, I don't know if she's a DEI hire. Whatever happened to just presuming that somebody who was an attorney general of the state of California, someone who was a U.S. senator, someone who was who is the vice president of America. I don't know, that maybe she's qualified. How about just presuming that? That's neither here nor there. Because when you talk about affirmative action, Donald Trump went to Penn after having a very rich and powerful father. That's not legacy. That's affirmative action. His kids, Jared Kushner, his son-in-law, being the Middle East czar, and after he told me he read 10 books in the Middle East, that's affirmative action. His kids running the campaign and by proxy the country, that's affirmative action. We just call it something else. All that said, Donald Trump turns it up a notch. Donald Trump says that, let me play it again for y'all, because I thought Donald Trump occasionally is funny. He's such an asshole that sometimes he's just hilarious. Listen to this.
I know she was black until a number of years ago when she happened to turn black, and now she wants to be known as black. So I don't know, is she Indian or is she black?
She has always identified as a black woman. She went to a historically black college.
I respect either one, but she obviously doesn't, because she was Indian all the way, and then all of a sudden she made a turn and she became a black person.
Just to be clear, sir, do you believe that
I think somebody should look into that.
People were outraged. They were groaning. Some people were laughing. Donald Trump is a clown, and so it's easy to laugh when he goes, black. Now she's a black person. She was Indian all the way, and then she was black. If you heard the journalist, I believe again that was, I think in this question, this was also Rachel Scott. She was attempting to push back and say, no, she's black. She went to a black college, but you couldn't hear her over Donald Trump, who again was like a bull inside a china shop. Donald Trump overpowered her. He wouldn't let anybody else talk. He was disrespectful. He put on a show, and this is the kind of optics that make Donald Trump compelling to a lot of people, including Black men who, quite frankly, sometimes like to see that kind of male domination. They like to see Black women put in their place. They like to see them checked. And that kind of patriarchal sensibility may have made what you saw today compelling to some of those Black male Trump potential voters. That's another conversation for another time, though. He said that Kamala Harris was Indian all the way, and then she got Black. Let's be very clear. That is completely false. That is completely false. Kamala Harris grew up in Oakland. Kamala Harris has a Black parent and an Indian parent. We live in a country that believes in one-drop rules. Since day one, if you had a drop of Negro in you, you was something. You was mulatto, quadroon, octoroon. You was something, but you was not white. Whiteness was the germ of worth. Whiteness was the standard. Anything other, Black blood made you less white, less than white. So that's the backdrop. That's the context, just to be clear. So just by American racial logic, she's Black. The woman went to Howard University, HU. There's at least 50 people going, right now. You don't go to a historically Black college or university unless you are already committed to Blackness, Black communities, Black traditions, Black ideas, Black life. Like, if it's one thing if you say she went to Duke University and one day she just went from Indian to Black, you'd be like, okay, what happened over there? But nah, she was at a Black school. She went to a school that only Black people go to. Yes, there's some white people at Howard, especially in the grad programs. They be milking that. But even in undergrad, there's a handful. Morehouse, when I was a freshman, there was a handful of white people. But in general, these are Black schools for Black people. Nobody who doesn't identify as Black at 17, 18 years old just picks up and goes to Morehouse. Knock it off. She's Black. And she didn't go there as an exotic non-Black. She went there as a Black girl. She joined Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. I know for white people, sororities and fraternities are not as big a deal as they are to us. They're not just 4 years of frat parties and drinking binges and centuries-old legacies of wealth and privilege. No. For Black folk, it's a lifelong tradition. We talk about Black Greek letter organizations. We revere them. We don't always pay for them. We don't fund them. We're not financial, but we love them. Our emotional commitments and our psychological bonds are strong because they are one of the most fundamentally Black things you can do. So she is a Black girl, AKA from Howard, who grew up in Oakland. She's dated Black men. She's been in Black organizations. She's self-identified as Black every time I've ever been able to hear her speak, and as far back as I've dug, she's identified as Black. And I've spent time with Kamala Harris, not a lot, but enough to know that she's a Black woman. So why would Donald Trump say that in a room full of Black people? Again, the condescension of saying she's not even Black. Y'all, you idiots, don't even realize she's fooling you all. Now, Donald Trump, of course, is just echoing the internet noise. He's just echoing the people who keep saying she's not Black, she's not Black, she's not Black. There are bots on the internet. There are movements on the internet. Now, of course, there's also various reparations organizations that would say she's not a descendant of slavery. True. She's not a descendant of American slavery. I mean, her father's Jamaican. You know, a whole lot of slavery happened there too. But they would say, you know, why are we caping for somebody who's not even one of us? You know, for me, identity politics doesn't overdetermine my voting choice. I'd rather vote for a progressive or radical white man than I would a Black person, even if they descended from slavery, if ultimately they just want to undermine our progress as a community. So I don't care about that. I'm here for justice. I'm here for freedom. I'm here for liberation of all people, but especially my people. So that's what it is. So why is Donald Trump taking this angle? Because he's trying to disconnect Kamala Harris from the Black community. And the arrogance of a white man to go into a Black room filled with Black people and tell them that this Black woman is not a real Black person. The hubris is through the roof. It's on 100,000 trillion to say that. This is the disrespect that I'm talking about. But Donald Trump knows that we're so proud to be in the room with the powerful, that we are so reverent about whiteness, that we'll still let him in the room. I'm not saying that's the people at NABJ, that was their logic, because I think people at NABJ, a lot of them just said, look, we're journalists, we got to ask tough questions, let's bring them here. But the disrespect that Donald Trump showed those 3 Black women, the disrespect that he showed our Black journalism profession, the disrespect that he showed our Black community with his tone, with his words, with his lies. It's a reflection of who he is. We didn't learn anything new about Donald Trump. We just got more proof of what we already know. And as Angel of Redemption said, Donald Trump literally thought he was doing Black folks a favor showing up to the event. And that's how he acted. And you know why? Because we act like that too. So I hope we learned a valuable lesson today. My mama used to say, you play with a puppy, he gonna lick you in the mouth. Puppies gonna do what puppies do. You don't want to get licked in the mouth, don't play with a puppy. But if you play with a puppy long enough, they're gonna do what puppies do. We keep playing with Donald Trump. We keep engaging Donald Trump. He came in there and showed his whole ass, and we have nobody to blame but ourselves for it. Now, you still may think it was worth it. There's a part of me that says, look, he showed his whole ass. Maybe now the world will see how he treated us. And maybe now, because he treated us like that, those Black people that were on the fence will be like, nah, I can't vote for him. Those white people who are on the fence will be reminded of how racist he is and say, you know what, never mind. That's what I hope. But the truth is, if you're a white person still considering Donald Trump, then racial justice ain't your priority. The needs of the Black community ain't your bag. And if you're a Black person who's still considering voting Donald Trump, then you're not voting Black interests. You might vote your individual interests if you're rich or if you have a particular political commitment. But if you're still thinking about Donald Trump right now, if you're undecided between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump, I'm not sure this will do anything for you. I'm not sure that this will do anything for you. So I think at the end of the day, we learned a valuable lesson here, which is don't invite Donald Trump anymore. Yes, we should invite every Republican presidential candidate moving forward. I still hold on to that. Yes, we should have invited every presidential candidate, Democrat and Republican, prior to now. But Donald Trump is a unique phenomenon. He cannot be analyzed or engaged based on the norm, based on the rules of the day, based on how we traditionally operate. Nah, B. Donald Trump, he's not an extreme version of our tradition in this way. He is outside of our traditions. And therefore, we have to treat him as somebody who's not one of us. That means don't invite him, ignore him, isolate him, and work like hell to get him out of office by any means necessary.